And welcome to episode 8 of the Red Mountain Express. I'm your host, Blake Westbrook. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Matthew Joyner. Mr. Matthew, how you doing today, buddy?
I got no complaints, man. What about you? How was your weekend?
It was good. It was real good. We actually went to Pepper Place.
Yeah.
Went by. I think we got some fruit and some vegetables like we normally do there. It was really cool. We saw Mike Wolf from American Pickers, a friend of ours who works over at Charlie Thigpen's, was right where you go in next to Ovenberg, was telling us that she saw him, and lo and behold, he came out of that little antique store or whatever, the rug store, whatever that is, and he jumped into his Mercedes and dashed off before we were able to take a picture with him.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I like American Pickers. I've seen it seen tons of episodes. But I've heard this from every other person that I talked to about American Pickers who does actually go antiquing. They say that they've ruined antiquing because everybody thinks that they have a gold mine.
Oh, yeah. You can't buy anything off anybody because they want to sell it for $100. But, I mean, to be fair, if you go into an American Picker store, so, for instance, me and Laura were going to see the Civil Wars at the Ryman a couple years back, and we had a few hours to kill in Nashville, so we stopped by their store there in Nashville and saw some of the items that they've had on the show. So that was kind of cool, like seeing everything in person in like the giant booth they have.
But how expensive were the items?
Everything was expensive. And I don't buy a lot of antiques, so maybe everything's expensive everywhere. But I don't know. You looking at something like an old sign that I might pay, $30 or $40 for if I was really interested in it, maybe a little bit more. But, you're talking like $300 for an old sign. I don't know. It was a lot. They believe in their quote unquote products.
Well, you'll go into an antique store and you'll see a Coca-Cola sign. You'll be like, "Oh, that'd be great to put that in my kitchen." And it's like, "Oh, it's $600." I'm like, $600? Well, American Pickers, I got sold for $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't American Pickers,
right? What else y'all do?
Well, so it was good to see him. Like I said, we went to Pepper Place, and then we had lunch at Hot Diggity Dog, which is the first time I've ever been over there. Lugged the car seat all the way upstairs, and my wife got the Winky Dink. I think that's what it's called, which has got pimento cheese on top of it. I had a bite of that. It was really, really good. And then I just got a normal chili dog with cheese on top.
You didn't get the Diablo?
No, I just, you don't have to complicate hot dogs for
chicken.
Me, man. No, it's not. No, it's hot dogs, not chicken. You don't have to complicate hot dogs. Chili, cheese, a little mustard, a little ketchup, Maybe some sauerkraut if I'm feeling, feeling brave, but you don't have to complicate hot dogs.
There's some jalapenos on there and some bacon.
I'm not saying it wasn't good. I thought it was really, really good, but I went with chili and cheese.
Did you get a chance to try out the homemade pork rinds they do there?
I had tater tots.
Man, the pork rinds are on point. They come out still crackling.
Like they're still crackling?
Yeah.
Why would I want something that's still crackling with grease?
It's not like that. They're amazing.
I like pork rinds. I didn't really know they had those on the menu, but I did know they had tater tots. And, I was shocked that when we left there, I was really full, even though you get one hot dog and some tater tots. But
it's a good size hot dog.
It was a good size hot dog. And it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I was very, very surprised. And it was fun. They the staff there was really nice and really cool, and we were the first ones in there. So
nice.
It was very interesting.
Cool.
Other than that, we really kind of took it easy. Went to church this morning, and then now I'm here recording this with you. What did y'all do this weekend?
I did not do much of anything. Laura went out Friday night to the Alabama Theater, saw Princess Bride with some friends.
Inconceivable.
Great movie. I kind of sad I missed it, but she was going out with some girlfriends. So I just kind of took the opportunity to stay at the house. Working on getting sick. Had a lot of I don't know if it's allergies or something, just a lot of drainage going on. So I'm trying to fight that with all the drugs I can find.
And how many drugs could you find?
Enough of them. Went to my nephew's karate birthday party yesterday, so that was kind of cool. And then hung out with him and brother and his wife, sister-in-law. And really that's it, man. Didn't do a whole lot this weekend. So it's been not kind of nice and quiet.
Nice and quiet.
Yeah, let's fumble over those words.
Nice and quiet. So you didn't go to the Alabama Theater?
No, that was just Laura and her friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually got my Alabama Theater socks from Original Beham. They came in yesterday. I wore them today at church, and then my daughter threw up on them. So they're being washed right now.
Nice.
But I did show them off, and a lot of people gave me compliments. So for those out there who haven't heard the last episode where we interviewed Jason Johnson with Original Beham, please go back and check it out, and also check out his stuff. He's got some pretty good stuff.
It's originalbeham.com.
That's originalbeham.com.
All right. So we didn't interview anybody this week.
It's kind of a new thing we're doing.
Yeah. We're gonna give you the full 20 to 30 minutes of just a Blake and Matthew show. So good luck.
We apologize.
Yeah. No. But no, for real, we want to take the opportunity this week to kind of talk about a few things that we've gotten feedback on, like from emails or on our website, or talking to people in person, and then we just want to cover a few news stories like we normally do. So first up, we've got the elections coming up for Birmingham, August the 22nd.
That's right, 2 weeks.
And of course, if you've listened to our show, episode 2, we talked to Randall Woodfin, and then a couple weeks ago we talked to Hunter Williams. So the mayoral candidate, one of the mayoral candidates, and then a candidate for District 2 city council seat. And we've gotten some feedback and some questions about how come we haven't talked to more people on the show. Are we rooting just for these two people, or what's going on there? How come we haven't talked to William Bell? How come we haven't talked to Woods or any other school board district runners? Or so we want to touch on that for a minute. And I think it's fairly easy to say and sum up that, we did not expect to have anybody agree to be on our show when we first started.
I was actually going to say we were very shocked that we've had guests every week up until now. And actually, we don't have a guest today because we planned it that way. We could have actually filled this week with a guest, but we wanted to try something different.
Right. And so, I think when we first started out, when we were first getting our lineup ready for episode 1, we reached out to Randall Woodfin and we reached out to Michael Sellers. They're good people. About the same time, we had a few other people we were emailing at the same time, and we expected to hear back from maybe one person out of the 4 or 5 we emailed.
And that was being generous.
Yeah. And we heard back from everybody, and so we had to start scheduling things and getting things lined up. And because of that, I guess the lack of faith in how people were going to receive this show and be willing to talk to us, we didn't send emails out to people like William Bell. We didn't expect to have those people be receptive. So basically, it comes down to it being a lack of faith in ourselves in the show, and then a lack of people's receptiveness to talking to people like us, for fear of us trying to lampoon them or trying to ask them gotcha questions or whatever it may be.
And just to be fair, every time we talk to a guest, we tell every guest the same thing. Like, look, we just want to know about you, about what you do, and we're not here to play gotcha. We're here for you to tell us your side of the story when it comes to whether it's original BHAM or you're running for city council or mayor.
Yeah, and so we also didn't plan around the fact that there were elections coming up in August. When we started writing out how the show was going to go over the next 8 episodes, we weren't looking at that August 22nd date and saying how many political candidates can we fit in this show. We were just trying to email as many people as we could to say how many people can we get on this episode or this show per episode before people stop caring. So it was a lack of planning and foresight there. And I think it's important to say here that because we've interviewed somebody like Woodfin or Hunter Williams, it's not an endorsement politically from me or Blake. We're not saying, hey, these are the people we believe in, go vote for them. Again, like Blake just said, we're just trying to provide that facet of education for you as a voter listening to say, okay, that's what I've heard from Woodfin. Now let me go do my homework on him versus the incumbent Bell or versus, somebody like Woods.
And I want to say that I think we've had this conversation several times before. We've during our planning sessions for this show, is that we try to keep politics out of the show as much as possible. Doesn't mean we can't talk about politics, because I think it's important to discuss issues of the day. But I do feel that there is just this oversaturation in media today of politics, and what this show is about is the greater Birmingham area and what makes Birmingham tick and why people are excited about Birmingham. And that may include a candidate here or there that's running for city council or for mayor, but it doesn't equal an endorsement. It's someone that responded to an email and said, yeah, I'd love to come on your show. We're great. Well, tell us when and where.
So going forward, I think for us, one thing that we'll try and do is do our due diligence when it comes to something like an election, or when it comes to talking about a specific subject, being able to reach out to everybody involved in that subject so that we can give you a good, well-rounded field of interviews that cover all of those different facets. And that's something we're working on as we grow and as we learn more about making this podcast and we find out what you want as listeners from feedback that you give us. So continue to give us that feedback. You can email us at info@redmountainexpress.com. You can go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter. Let us know what you think, what you want, and how we can shape our podcast to fit your needs.
And I agree with you, Matthew. I mean, this show only gets better with participation from listeners. That's how we know that we're either doing something right or doing something wrong. I bumped into a friend of mine at Pepper Place. It's the one who works at Charlie Thigpen's, and she had discovered our podcast through Instagram. She saw me and you interviewing Jason Johnson, and she was like, man, it looks like Blake, and discovered the podcast. And she says, she goes, I travel a lot for work, and I'm going to start listening to it. I said, I need you to do me a favor. I need you, when you listen to it, I need feedback. I need you to tell me what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, because that's the only way we can make this show better. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of that's our message to you this week is when you listen to it, let us know what you think. Send us a quick message, tweet us, like us on Instagram, and that way we can make this show better for you and for us.
And really, wherever you listen to this show, whether it's on iTunes or Google Play or YouTube, subscribe there, leave a rating, whatever the 5-star rating or 4-star rating or whatever you believe we deserve, and leave us a review, whether it's a sentence or a paragraph. Leave us some feedback there as well, because that it helps us with feedback, but it also helps us get our show out there in front of people. The more these are reviewed and rated, the more that those separate platforms will push our show in front of people. So that's helpful in multiple ways.
Well, let's take a quick break and hear from our partners over at Beech and Woodworks. And when we come back, we'll talk about some news that's been going on in the city of Birmingham. We'll be back in a minute. Beech and Woodworks is a locally owned and operated wood shop in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in custom furniture and small home goods. Chris and Kanan Beecham create a wide variety of unique pieces of all sizes, ranging from cutting boards to farmhouse tables. Using wood sourced from Alabama sawmills, Beech and Woodworks creates affordable, quality pieces that will be a one-of-a-kind fixture for your home. So support your local woodworker and visit redmountainexpress.com/woodworks or check them out on their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Beech and Woodworks, turning your house into a home. And welcome back to the Red Mountain Express. There's been a couple of news stories we want to talk about in this episode. I believe that the top news story in Birmingham this week is the announcement that we will be getting a USL soccer team. For those who don't know, basically soccer in America has sort of a pyramid like they do usually around the world. The top, of course, is the Major League Soccer. And then below that is USL, and there's another league that's a
PDL.
part of it. No, it's NASL, I think, is what the
there's 4 tiers, right?
Right. And so what's going to happen is that in 2019 we'll start playing in the USL League. Next year we're going to be playing in the PDLS or the PDL, which is the Premier Development League system. The owners of the new soccer team are Jeff Logan. He is the owner of the Barons, or one of the owners for the Barons. James Outland of New Capital Partners, and Lee Steisinger of Alltech. We're actually familiar with Alltech. A good friend of ours works for them, and I actually emailed him and said, hey, I see that your boss bought a soccer team, and he was pretty excited about it. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's really good for the city. You see a lot of cities that have a USL team that are trying to bump up into that top tier. Nashville has done that. Cincinnati's a USL team, I think, attracts 20,000 per game.
Yeah.
Although I will say the attendance, I think, is 5,000, Matthew?
I think the average is like 4,000 to 5,000 per game.
Yeah. And like I said, they do not have a name yet. This is basically going to be the Birmingham Hammers moving up.
Well, yeah,
but they're not going to be called the Hammers.
Right.
Is that right?
Well, so far as we know, so they haven't said what they're going to be called. They said in the coming months they're going to come out with their logos and their name and all that stuff. So they could keep the Hammers. I don't think that's been said.
What do you think, Matthew? Go. What's your?
I like the Hammers. I know there's some people that think that's a cheesy name because it's the Birmingham Hammers. Maybe the alliteration's too strong there. if that's what you call that. But I like it. I think, it's a little bit cheesy, but I'm cool with it. You've got the Nashville Predators. You've got the Huntsville Slammers. Is that what the Huntsville was? Their hockey team? Okay.
I don't know.
You can have a cheesy name and be okay with it. I think it works. I think the Birmingham Hammers is a pretty good, strong name.
I'm not saying it's not a cheesy name. I mean, Montgomery, their baseball team's the Biscuits.
Okay, sure.
And then
That's extremely
the,
cheesy.
There's the Jumbo Shrimp. I think it's Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp is the baseball team.
I'm not familiar with that.
I swear to you, that's the name. Or maybe it's fried shrimp or something. It's something to do with shrimp. And now I'm hungry.
Wait, so you asked me, so you don't like the Hammers?
It's not I don't like the Hammers. I'm kind of with you. I think it's the alliteration's a little bit too strong for me. Birmingham Hammers, it's just,
Correct us if alliteration is not the right word.
Please,
there. I threw that out.
We have no idea if that's the right term.
I should know this. I'm good at English.
I will say this. If it was the Birmingham Hammers, I'd be fine with that. I just don't want it to be like the Magic City United. I mean, use our name. Use Birmingham.
Okay, sure.
Birmingham United's fine, although everybody has used United. I mean...
Do you think there'll be, if we use Birmingham in the name, do you think there's going to be confusion with us and our friends over the pond?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, and I think their Birmingham City is what the name of their soccer team is. Okay. They don't play in I don't think they play in the Premier League, which is the top league in Britain.
I'm not sure about that. Okay.
They may. I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
But I will say that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of names we could come up with. I just want them to actually use the name of Birmingham, and I just kind of want it to be something that people can rally around. And maybe you do need a silly name. I will tell you this story. So I grew up in Montgomery, and we finally got a baseball team, and they did a big announcement for the name, and we're all sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Montgomery Biscuits," and everybody was like, "What? Biscuits?"
So where did the biscuits come from? Is there a biscuit company?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
No, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of things you can use, like batter up.
Sure. Yeah, that's bad.
They throw out biscuits, and the
do they shoot them out of a t-shirt cannon?
Yeah. And then which is sanitary.
I don't think so.
And then the mascot is an anteater, because they got an anteater at the zoo one year.
For those of you listening to this later, I know you can't see my face, but it's very quizzical here. They have an anteater for the biscuits.
Yeah.
All right.
His name's Mo.
Seems like terrible ideas. I'm getting more.
But you know what? People love the biscuits.
Don't
knock the biscuits.
I'm not knocking the biscuits. I'm knocking the general idea.
You should see the logo is like a biscuit, and it's like his mouth's open with butter in there, and it's got little eyeballs.
That's
on the
creepy.
top. It is creepy, but it's good. It's a good.
All right, so we're getting off. We get off in the weeds here.
So it's a really, really good thing. I haven't seen any negative press on this. I think the biggest question, and we're always going to get to this, is where are they going to play? Well, Matthew, where are they going to play?
All right. See, you're throwing this at me because you know what I'm about to say. Because we're getting this ongoing running joke here, not joke, but theme.
It is a joke.
We need a new stadium in Birmingham.
I agree.
I think there are several people behind this now. Of course, our current mayor is throwing his opinion in that we need the BJCC to have a new stadium there in that vicinity, the Uptown area. I'm on board with that. I think Uptown is a great area. We've thrown all this money into the development of Uptown. We've got Top Golf coming here, hopefully by the end of the year, if not early 2019 or 2018. That's it. Throw in a stadium right there where you have somebody like the Birmingham United soccer team.
There you go.
Or the UAB football team, somebody playing there, throughout several seasons of the year. And suddenly that area has a lot of people there all the time using those restaurants and going to Top Golf to hang out and going to see a football game or a baseball game or a soccer game, not baseball game, sorry. I think that's great for that area. You could throw out there other places you could use. We can talk about the dome versus stadium argument, but I think at this point, let's just agree that we need something in Birmingham where a soccer team or a football team can play, and we can also throw other events in there.
And let's put aside the dome versus open-air stadium that we've been having for the past, how long now?
About 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks. Yeah. Let's put aside that argument. I think there is an argument to be made of where to put it. I agree with you. The BJCC is the most obvious choice because the infrastructure is there. Mm-hmm. However, moving it over toward the south side near UAB could be another option.
Okay.
Because you could have the new the football team could actually be the permanent user of that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that is a bigger. I don't think that is a bigger argument. That's not the biggest argument to be had. The biggest argument to be had is A, what type of stadium is going to be? B, or even before that, are you going to have a new stadium? What type of stadium is going to be, and who's going to pay for it?
Sure.
And I think the last is where you can start losing people.
Sure.
If you look at other places that have built stadiums with public money, I think you've seen mixed results. But I do think it's an investment for the city.
Well, I think the people have to be behind it. You throw it up to a vote and you say, okay, on this year's ballot, we're going to give you the option of saying, okay, yeah, we approve a 1% tax increase to go towards a stadium. If you do it without getting the people's approval, of course, then it turns into, we didn't want this. We don't want you taking our money for it. You're misusing our tax dollars. That becomes a pretty big stink pretty quick. Now, there was an article by John Hammondtree, AL.com. You read that article. Tell us a little bit about that.
Basically, he was proposing that he said that using funds or public funds for a new stadium is a terrible idea, that it never works. There's disastrous consequences. And to be fair, there have been disastrous consequences when it comes to building a new stadium with public funds. You look in Miami, that's been a disaster when they built the new Marlins Stadium. But I will say that that's not always the case. I think it's a mixed bag. You cannot tell me that if you did not build the Bearing Stadium over there next to good people in the park, you cannot tell me that development would be there now.
No, it wouldn't be the park side that we know
exactly.
Currently.
And I think that's the kind of development we're looking at. We're not looking at building a stadium the size of the Georgia Dome. We're talking about building something that's more suited to Birmingham.
Yeah, 30, 40,000, 50,000 seats.
Right. That's going to be used. It's going to have a permanent tenant, whether it's a soccer team, whether it's UAB's football team, which will be a permanent. Mm-hmm. They will be. There's no doubt about that. But also, he uses Cincinnati to compare it to Birmingham. Well, I'm going to take a little exception to that because I think that, that stadium is on campus that he was talking about in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's central to the campus, right?
Yeah, that's right. And yes, it was renovated using university funds. But I'm going to say this. You're using university funds. Well, the city of Cincinnati wasn't going to pay for that stadium because guess what? They just built 2 new stadiums with public funds.
They built one for their
for the base team, for the Browns and for the Reds.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they were looking solely because they were trying to for a fiscal responsibility. I don't think they were looking at this in a fiscal responsibility standpoint. I think they were saying, look, we just already built 2 stadiums. Mm-hmm. And he also says that the University of Cincinnati Stadium is one of the best places to play college football. That's not true.
I haven't been to a whole lot of stadiums. I haven't been to Cincinnati's, but I mean, it sounds like, looking at pictures and looking at how they renovated, like it doesn't sound that bad.
It doesn't sound bad, but I mean, they're like, oh, it's one of the greatest places ever to play college. Really? I mean, I can name 50 places that are probably better than playing at the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the University of Cincinnati. It's a great school, but I don't think it's comparing apples to apples.
I hear what you're saying. You're saying it's no Auburn. I hear you.
Roll Tide. Okay.
If you haven't read the article from Hammondtree, I think one of the things he says that Blake is talking about is the potential of selling, like let's say Birmingham sold Legion Field to UAB and let UAB renovate that.
I think that's the other part of his article, mm-hmm. which, first of all, I don't think UAB would ever buy Legion Field. I think that UAB wants their own stadium and they want it near their campus. I think that's the end game for UAB, or at least closer to their campus.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know, thinking about the downtown cityscape, I don't know where UAB would put a stadium, like around the school or in the central to the school. UAB is really spread out, and there's a whole lot of other developments there currently. So I keep going back to the BJCC area because there's a lot of empty space there they could use.
And I agree with it. I think that the BJCC would be an excellent area to place a new stadium. I'm with you on that argument. I think that that's where it should go, whether it's an open air or a dome. I think that's where it should be because you can use that. Let's say you have the bowl there. Well, you can have the bowl there, and you can do some pregame festivities at the arena because everything's there. You have the hotels already there. It's really easy for you to bring fans in because there's like, oh, we're going to stay at the Sheraton. We're going to stay at the other hotel that's down there. We're going to go to dinner here. We're going to nightlife there, and then we're going to go to the game in the morning. Mm-hmm. Or in the next afternoon. I think that makes the most sense. But I will say that before they start spending money, I think there needs to be a feasibility study to whether
Well, of course.
And I think that's what's going to happen.
Of course.
But I just think that the whole let's start throwing more money at Legion Field is preposterous. The fact is that Legion Field was a wonderful stadium. I think Alabama and Auburn had some great games there where they were playing each other, or Alabama was playing Tennessee or other teams. But I think it's outlived its usefulness. It's not what it was even 20 years ago. Alabama had a contract, I believe, to play up until 2007. Well, they canceled that contract because there was no need. They had an on-campus stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us to keep throwing $1 million here and $1 million there, or another $50 to $20 million into that stadium is throwing money into a hole.
Yeah.
What I think should happen with Legion Field is it needs to be closed, and make it a park, preserve the playing field to where you can, make it a nice historical area and kind of build off that. But for us to keep spending money on Legion Field is just not responsible.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's been the big story this week, having the USL announce a franchise for the city of Birmingham. Let us know what you think. Do you think they should play at a stadium at the BJCC or a dome? Or do you think that they should play at Legion Field? Like we said before the break, your feedback is what makes this podcast great. So that's going to wrap it up for this wonderful episode of the Red Mountain Express. Next week, we are going to be doing a crossover episode. Matthew, talk about that for a quick second.
Sure, yeah. We're going to be sitting down with Josh over at the Almost Legal podcast. He's another podcaster here in Birmingham. He reached out to us to talk about the potential of doing an episode and talking to him about what's going on in Birmingham, talk about our show. We'll talk about his show. So look forward to that coming up. We'll record with him on Wednesday, and then, of course, we'll release our new episode next Monday night.
So, for Matthew Joyner, I'm Blake Westbrook. This has been the Red Mountain Express, and we'll see you next week.